The sound of the mop gliding across the polished marble floors echoed softly. In the empty lobby, the night shift had long ended. The building's fluorescent lights were dimmed, and only a handful of people remained inside, preparing for the annual company gala the next morning. In the corner of the grand hall stood an elegant black piano, shiny, untouched, and meant for the professional pianist who would arrive the next day. But what no one expected was that before the sun rose again, the most extraordinary music to ever grace that building would come not from a performer in a suit, but from a man in a faded janitor's uniform. If you believe in second chances, hidden talents, and the power of kindness, then pause for a second, like, comment, share, and subscribe to The Gentle Truth for more real, emotional, and inspiring stories like this one. His name was Daniel Brooks, a 38-year-old single father. Every night, after putting his 8-year-old daughter Lily to bed at his sister's house, he'd change into his work clothes and head to the downtown skyscraper where he worked as a janitor. Once long ago, Daniel had dreamed of becoming a concert pianist. He had spent hours as a child practicing on an old upright piano, pouring his heart into every note. But life had other plans. His father passed away early, leaving Daniel to work odd jobs to support his mother. Later, when he finally began performing at local cafes, tragedy struck again. His wife was diagnosed with a sudden illness. Her death left him with a baby, medical debts, and dreams that quietly folded away like old sheet music. The employees of the company barely noticed him. To them, Daniel was just the janitor, the quiet man who nodded politely, cleaned up after their parties, and disappeared before the sun came up. But one Friday night, as the company prepared for its biggest gala of the year, a group of young interns hanging around late noticed him passing near the piano. One of them, bored and mischievous, called out that he should play something as a joke. The others laughed. Daniel froze. His hands instinctively twitched, remembering the weight of keys beneath his fingers. But he shook his head, smiled faintly, and tried to move on. "Come on, janitor," one intern teased. "Don't tell me you're scared of a piano." It wasn't meant to be cruel, but it stung. After years of swallowing pride, of working silently while his soul still carried melodies, this tiny jab hit a deep place. One of the managers overheard and, amused, encouraged Daniel to give it a try. "Why not? We could use some entertainment while setting up." The group laughed again, expecting nothing more than clumsy banging. Daniel hesitated. He hadn't played in public for nearly a decade. But something in him, a mix of nostalgia and quiet defiance, told him to sit down. He gently set his mop aside, walked to the piano, and sat on the bench. The polished black surface reflected his tired face and worn hands. He pressed a single key. The sound filled the hall like a ripple across still water. Everyone went silent. He began to play, at first soft and uncertain, like someone gently knocking on a long-closed door. Then, with each passing bar, his confidence bloomed. His fingers danced, weaving melodies that seemed to rise from deep inside his chest. The music was not a well-known piece, it was his own composition, one he had written long ago when his wife was alive. It told their story through sound, the rush of young love, the quiet joy of a newborn's cry, the heartbreak of hospital nights, and the hollow ache of loss. The lobby transformed. The employees who were laughing moments ago now stood completely still, watching in disbelief. The janitor wasn't fumbling. He was commanding the instrument like a master. The security guard leaned on his post with wet eyes. Even the floral decorator paused mid-arrangement, clutching a ribbon to her chest. What Daniel didn't know was that the CEO, Mr. Harrington, had come down from his office after a long call and stood quietly at the top of the staircase, watching everything unfold. Harrington had once been a musician himself before business consumed his life. He felt something stir in him that he hadn't felt in years. Daniel's music grew powerful, almost cinematic. It filled every corner of the hall with warmth and sorrow all at once. The piece built to a crescendo, then slowly fell like a soft rain. When the last note lingered, the silence was absolute. A single tear rolled down Harrington's face. The staff burst into applause. Some were crying, others smiling through shock. Daniel quickly stood, embarrassed, and tried to retreat to his mop. But Harrington descended the stairs slowly, clapping. He approached Daniel not as a CEO to a janitor, but as one musician to another. He asked quietly where Daniel had learned to play. Daniel answered humbly, explaining that he had trained himself, but life had pulled him away. The next day, Harrington made a surprising announcement during the gala. Before the hired pianist took the stage, he invited Daniel to perform one opening piece. The wealthy guests, dressed in tuxedos and gowns, murmured in confusion as a man in a janitor's uniform sat at the grand piano. But the moment his fingers touched the keys, their doubt melted. He played the same heartfelt composition, this time with the strength of someone finally reclaiming a lost part of himself. The entire hall gave him a standing ovation. Harrington offered him a new position as the company's official events pianist, with a scholarship for Lily's future and flexible hours to continue janitorial work until he was stable. Daniel didn't become famous overnight, but something even greater happened. He became whole again. His music returned to his life not as a dream deferred, but as a legacy reborn. Lily would grow up hearing her father's melodies not through dusty memories, but in the bright halls where they belonged. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to The Gentle Truth. Your engagement helps these real, emotional stories reach more people who might need a little hope in their lives. Special request in the comments. Tell us about a hidden talent, yours or someone else's, that deserves to shine. You never know who might be inspired by your words.